listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now, here are your hosts, fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to the On Deck podcast right here on the LineStar app. It's me, it's Chris Meaney, and I'm back, baby. I am back. It was a couple days. We had planned a vacation months and months ago, and I took my little kids to Universal Studios.
Oh, baby.
It was palm trees, Chris Meaney. It was wizards. It was Minions. It was everything and a whole lot of butterbeer. And I'm back here, and I want to thank Chris Meaney and all of our guests that we had who were taking care of business when I was away getting a little tan. And I did get a little tan here, Chris. So, are you jealous? That's my first question.
A little jealous, definitely. It seems like you had a really good time. I'm glad that you and your fam had the opportunity to do something like that. I mean, that's what it's all about. So very happy to have you back for sure, and ready to talk baseball. But, yeah, I am a little jealous because, obviously, those who know me know I'm north of the border. I am going to take in Vlad Guerrero tonight in his opener, but it is not sunny, and I am not getting any tans. The roof will be closed at the Rogers Center.
That's right. It's Vlad Day.
It is Vlad Day.
Congratulations, everybody. I mean, I can't believe I came back on Vlad Day. So there you go. Can't get better than that. And let me tell you something, a little heads up there. If you're ever traveling to Universal in Florida with your kids, stay at one of those hotels that's part of the Universal experience, whatever, because you get the free Express Pass with that. And with the Express Pass, you get the joy of walking past people who have been waiting online for a ride for 45 minutes. And you walk right by them and you're online for 6 minutes. And then you're on the ride. And the look on their faces.
Totally worth it.
It's worth every
Totally worth it. Yeah.
The disdain that other people have for you as you walk by them and their children, and they're hot and they're sweaty and they've been at the park and I got to go to the bathroom, daddy, and all this stuff. Nope. See you later. We're getting on the Dr. Seuss ride. Peace out.
You know, especially if you have young kids, Joe, I think that's a must. Like, if you take something away from this experience that you had, get those fast passes.
Just do it. Like, if you're already committed, if you're already committed to the money of this vacation, you just do it. Because what are you going to do? You're going to spend like half the day waiting on lines? No. And God, it's not even as bad as Disney. Disney's the worst. Forget it.
Oh, Disney's the worst.
Don't get me started on that. But it's time to make some more money so all of you can go on vacations.
That's right.
Going. So let's get at it. There's a lot of weather to worry about today, so we're going to flag those games for you. A ton of weather. And let's start with one that I think is not long for this world. 83% chance of precipitation here, and it's the Phillies hosting the Marlins. It's our boy Jose Ureno, who we always like to go against, but this one's a little tricky because of the cost of the guys plus the concern about the weather. So to me, Chris, this is one of these games that if you have the time to follow all the way up until 6:30, 7 o'clock right before lineups, then I'm okay with getting involved in this one. But if you're not, I think you just steer clear all the way because you just don't know what you're going to get right now. And it seems like a pretty steady rain here where I am on the East Coast.
Yeah, I think we were into this situation maybe last Friday where we had 2 or 3 games like this, and 2 of them ended up getting postponed. I think it was like Detroit, Boston, and then another game.
I think it was last Friday, actually.
Yeah, I think exactly it was a week ago. So I mean, we're gonna have this. The first few games we're gonna talk about. That's gonna be the situation. And yeah, if you're spending big bucks and especially cash, you definitely need to stay away. If you play multiple lineups, you can take the shot on, hey, maybe I'll get some of these expensive Philly bats slow owned because of Ureno. We've talked about it, and you're right. The 54% hard hit rate is the highest in all of baseball. We know he's a contact guy. We've been picking on him now for a few weeks. So it's definitely risky. For me, I like to stay clear. I don't play tons and tons and tons of tournament lineups, but if I did, I would take a couple shots here and there. But yeah, overall, and this is a game I already bet last night because I figured the Phillies would jump up to minus 200. This is a game I've already taken the over. If it does happen, I do feel like there's definitely going to be some runs.
All right. Now, on the other side here, let's go over to Washington where Weather's going to be a little bit better, so that's a positive. You got Max Scherzer on the mound, 10.4, taking on the San Diego Padres. And look, Scherzer is going to be that very chalky, safe cash game guy, as he always is. In this one against San Diego, you can't argue against the matchup, especially with Strom so far this year. He has not performed, I think, to the expectations that some held for him, which it's not all that surprising to me because this was a guy that showed you flashes out of the bullpen before and all that. But sometimes, it takes a little while for guys to get in that groove rotation-wise. But in the meantime, Scherzer's going to be very chalky, and you've got him and deGrom on the same slate. You got a $400 discount on deGrom between the two of them. But I don't know how long the Mets are going to let him go, especially if it's going to be kind of a chilly, windy night, which it seems like it's going to be in the New York area. It's going to be 61, precipitation 83% chance of that. It's not going to be a pretty situation weather-wise for him. So to me, no deGrom, all the Scherzer if you're just playing it safe. Are you in agreement with that?
I have some concerns with deGrom. I think
not a good night to be throwing him out there for the first time.
No, in fact, I jumped on Milwaukee last night as well as just plus 161 road dogs, as if maybe they can get to deGrom. Obviously, deGrom is dealing with something. In the MRI, he finally got it. Everything seems to be checked out okay. But when you look deeper into the numbers, I mean, we talked before about the hard hit rate. It's just not normal for him, and he's
right. And keep in mind, his rates are abnormal to begin with.
Right.
So they might be normal for other people, but it's not the level that we've grown accustomed to with deGrom. And maybe it is just a matter of, hey, the body just needed a little break, and that's fair.
Yeah.
I think when you take some people will see this as, hey, it's an opportunity. I'm getting him cheaper. It's the Brewers on the road, all that stuff. I'm with you, man. I'm much
super risky.
Side of this. Yeah,
This is a guy at 33% fly ball rate for his career right now, 48%. He has never had a hard hit rate over 32%. So they started tracking this on FanGraphs over the last 6 years. It's at 53% right now. Like, let's stay away from deGrom. Maybe he only goes a couple innings. Like, it wouldn't shock either of us or anybody listening when he pitches a gem. But I think you're right. He probably won't go deep in this game. It's a very tough matchup. I mean, the Brewers are a good offense, so let's stay clear and spend our money up on Scherzer, who had a bad start in Miami. Maybe people are a little bit, they don't want to spend up on him, but this is a great spot. The Padres strike out a ton. Top six rate, actually third right now. 26% of the time they're striking out. The Indians lineup has improved. The Jays are improving tonight as well. So the Padres are a team that, they have some guys like Tatis and Manny Machado and Will Myers, but all of those guys also strike out, especially Tatis.
Right. All their good hitters still are prone to Ks. We all know that too. And maybe it's an opportunity also. Usually you like these Milwaukee bats when they're in Milwaukee, but maybe there is an opportunity here with guys like Shaw and Moustakas, depending on, his availability here. Yelich you still have to pay through the nose for. But I think you're going to get into that underbelly of that Mets bullpen by the fifth inning or so. So when you're right. We start to have that changes the conversation. It changes the dynamic. All right, let's go to Toronto. Let's do it because you mentioned it. You got Marcus Stroman on the hill. You got Mike Fiers on the other side. Both of them are in that high 7 range here on the DraftKings side. I definitely prefer Stroman there. I think the ballpark's going to be electric tonight, and this matters. These things matter. So with Vlad's up there, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are going to show up there just to say, "Hey, I was there the first game."
Like me, I'm not even a Jays fan, and I'm going.
Right, exactly. There you go. You don't even like the Jays, and you're Canadian. How dare you? And there you go. And I think this is a great opportunity here, and I think there's going to be juice in the ballpark. The question is, are you juicing or are you squeezing on the Vladimir Guerrero at 4.3? He's hitting third. I mean, it's a good spot there. I kind of wonder, against Fiers with Vlad, Smoke, Grichuk, that middle of that order right now, that might be against Fiers, who gives up home runs, one of my favorite stacks of the night.
Yeah, and it's going to be a little chalky, but that's okay. How many times have we talked about that? Chalk is okay. And you know what? We had Greg Landry, MLB writer for LineStar. He came on, and we talked exactly about that, about the White Sox and the Orioles being chalk, but they combined for like 24 runs in the first two games of the series. And, it was just runs. Exactly.
I mean, come on.
So Vlad he's going to be chalky. Especially I think over on FanDuel where he's a little bit cheaper, $3,200 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think he's super chalky on FanDuel. I don't know if he is on DraftKings. I think when you have to go up to that 4.3, because then that's like the same range as guys like Chris Bryant, who I like tonight against Robbie Ray. I think when the DraftKings side, it's more of a debate. On the FanDuel, you're totally right.
Yeah, and we're getting fires here with a 43% hard hit rate, a 42% fly ball rate, 40 for his career. He's already allowed 6 home runs, Joe. Last season, he allowed 32 bombs. The year before that, 32 bombs. Oakland can't save him, and this game is in Toronto. So, absolutely, I'm looking at if Galvis can get back in the lineup. I'm looking at that stack with 2, 3, Vlad. I may skip over Smoke. I like Gerchik and even Tellez. Like these guys, even if you want to be a little bit different and go 3 to 7 and get Teoscar in there, these guys all have pop in their bat, and Fires is just not missing any bats.
No, you're right, and that's exactly it. And that's what you want. You want guys who are going to put the ball in play against pitchers who allow that to happen. Fires is one of those guys. All right, let's go. Charlie Morton against the Red Sox tonight, and that's another one too that's concerning in terms of weather.
I don't even know who's pitching for Boston yet.
The Boston doesn't know. It could be Oil Can Boyd for all we know tonight for the Red Sox. It's either Oil Can Boyd or Bruce Hurst. It's one of those guys from the 80s. They're just going to drag somebody out of retirement. But it might not matter. I don't. At this point, they might just say, whatever, you just throw your hands up in the air about it. But look, it's your regular situation here in this game. If weather is going to look good as we get closer to game time, then I think Charlie Morton is actually very much in play. Charlie Morton last year had a transformational year for his career. He's got a 2-year deal there with the Rays. I think he's got a finite number of years here, and he's looked very good. The Rays have gotten off to a good start. And let's face it, the Red Sox still kind of scuffling along.
Definitely.
Trying to figure it out. And if you're looking for a contrarian play tonight, pitching-wise, I think Morton might be that guy going into Boston. I don't think a lot of people like that or want to have a piece of that, but I think Morton you can make a very good case for.
Yeah, I mean, he already faced the Red Sox this year and racked up 9K. So you're right. I mean, Charlie Morton he's underrated. This whole Rays team is underrated. And, we've been all over him since day one.
Yeah, we have.
Their prices.
We even had the G-Man Choi night, for God's sake.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we were talking
about.
Who
had that?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who. The LineStar app had it too.
I even tossed out Mike Zunino when you were gone, and I laughed about it after, and then he went yard. It's like, oh, my goodness. Like, the entire Rays team has that potential. Now their prices finally, they've jumped up now where all of them are over 4K, but even still, I still think an underrated offense. Probably just going to stay clear of all this, of everything here. Like you mentioned precipitation, it's up near 84% now. This has got a good chance for some rain. So this might be a game I stay clear of, but you're dead on with Morton. You're getting a discount there at 8.5, and he's got a high ceiling.
Yeah, and look, when we record in the morning, obviously, a lot of the patterns can change and stuff, but right now things do not look great. Okay, you got Antonio Senzatella going along with the Colorado Rockies to Atlanta, taking on Max Fried. And look, Daniel Murphy back in the lineup. Well, Murphy's a guy, too, that, you look at the splits in some years, that lefty-lefty splits of Daniel Murphy are actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. So that's not a deal breaker for me, and you're getting kind of a discount on him because he's still kind of just on his way back. So in the middle of that order at the 3-hole, the 4.3, I'm bringing him up tonight because I feel like he bears witness, because of the price and the matchup. And I know Fried's been very good, but at the same time, maybe there's opportunity here where you get a little Daniel Murphy share. What do you think about him tonight?
I love him on FanDuel, 2.5.
Oh,
it's like a must.
Oh, my goodness.
With some of these guys who have been hurt or slow starts, it's almost like they forget about him over on FanDuel. I think it's a great call. He's had success against lefties. And if you just look at Colorado as a whole and you really just try to break down their numbers, like they struggled so far this season against lefties, but some guys have been off to slow starts and, like Ian Desmond, Murphy gets hurt. Blackman just hit his first home run last week, and they had guys like Hampson in there who was striking out a lot, Tapia who's striking out a lot. Guys are now back into their lineup, so I think it's a good opportunity maybe to even jump on some of these bats. So I like the call. And Fried has been good, but he's not striking a lot of guys out. So I don't expect him to come in and rack up a bunch of Ks. He's got 18 strikeouts in 26 innings. I mean,
yeah. Well, and you also look in the middle of this order, too. If Daniel Murphy can get on base, when you've got Story, you got Arenado, you got these guys around this cluster here with the two righties and Story and Arenado against Fried. And we all know Arenado just crushes left-handed pitching.
Crushes them, yeah.
That's something to bear witness of. With some of the games being out tonight and some of the power being potentially gone when you're missing guys like Harper and Hoskins, when you're missing guys potentially like JD Martinez out of the mix tonight because of weather. You have to look at where the power might be, especially tournament-wise, and it might very well be in Atlanta for the Rockies tonight on the road.
Yeah, and right now it looks like we're recording early, but it looks like the wind is blowing out. So even
11
better.
miles an hour out. That's pretty good.
Yeah, even better.
And it's going out where? To left center. That is good for Nolan Arenado, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it ever?
That's what you want. Left center breeze makes me feel fine. Let's do Baltimore Orioles, Minnesota Twins tonight at 8. This is going to be in Minnesota. Martin Perez.
Oh, our boy,
our unofficial, he's becoming the unofficial mascot of the show, I feel like. Martin Perez and Alex Cobb will lock up in this one. The Cobb's just 5.2. Martin Perez is 6.8. Now, he's been all right, so I have to give him a little respect. I said if he – what was the bet that I made with Martin Perez? I feel like I made one, and I don't even remember what it is at this point.
Yeah, it honestly went
just
over
not
my
be
head,
a gas can. Is that
just
what it
not
is?
Be a gas can? I think he his first start of this season, he said he was going to get a W. He was in line for it. I think his bullpen blew it up, but he's not, let's be honest, he's not somebody we're going to think about. These two teams just wrapped up a series. Joe, when the weekend we were all over runs being scored, we said this is the opportunity for guys like Nelson Cruz and Jonathan Scope to wake up against their former.
And Polanco too, who had himself a nice little
Polanco. Eddie Rosario hit like 5 home runs in that series.
All the way up to 5.1 too.
Oh
my goodness,
it's unreal. Yeah, I mean, such a contact hitter. I know you were all over him in the black book. I own him all over the place.
Yep.
He's still available on waiver wires where I already have like 2 or 3 shortstops, and I'm like pulling my hair out. I'm trying to trade Tim Anderson everywhere so I can grab Polanco and just roll with him. Like, I don't think what's happening with him is a fluke. He's a contact guy. Not going to give you a lot of power, but he's going to get on base, and he's going to set the table for some of these power hitters like Cruz and Rosario. Look at Baltimore.
And you know what? I want to bring up a point about that because you kind of are making a point here where even though Polanco's now probably priced himself out of the market because he's been so good, that doesn't mean this tear doesn't continue. It doesn't have a ripple effect on guys like Cruz potentially who are still in that 4.7 range. We're a little bit cheaper. We're CJ Cron at 4K. That kind of thing where, just because it's kind of like the Yelich effect in Milwaukee. Just because a guy's red hot, he might be off the board, but it doesn't mean the rest of that offense is. If he's helping to generate that much offense, it kind of has a ripple effect. So keep that in mind as you're looking through here on the Keplers and all these other guys tonight in that lineup. Daniel Norris, left-handed pitcher, taking on Carlos Rodon. Now, last time we were a little shaky on Rodon because we thought there was opportunity there. It was going to be a cold night. It was going to be all that. We were wrong. I was dead wrong. Put it on me. Again, I will take the heat. Okay, because I spend the time in the kitchen, and we were wrong. Rodon was terrific, and this was, I think, last Friday's game. This was the one that we were worried about weather. We thought there might be some wind there. We might really get the first bad Rodon start. We didn't. We got another solid one for him. And I'll tell you what, if you want to go back to the well tonight, I would. This Detroit offense really has shown you nothing. The bottom of this order is just gross. I mean, everybody from Brandon Dixon down all the way to JaCoby Jones. I mean,
it's pathetic.
It's really is. And no disrespect to Josh Harrison. He's a good little player, but I mean, Gordon Beckham's back in a lineup. I mean, when Gordon Beckham starts showing up around again, I almost couldn't believe that the other day when I saw his name. I said, really?
I thought he was gone.
I thought he was coaching baseball at some Division II school somewhere.
Yeah, he spent some time with the Angels a couple of years ago, and I was like, "Get this guy out of here!"
Remember when he was going to be a thing?
Else in the system? Oh, for sure.
That was with the White Sox too. So no revenge narrative for Gordon Beckham tonight, kids. It's not happening.
And you're right about Josh Harrison. Like he was hitting leadoff for the first few games, at least I think 2 or 3 weeks, and he just hasn't been able to make contact, get on base. So he's dropped down the order. Yeah, Castellano has success against lefties. Miguel Cabrera's had a good average, but he's not doing anything really statistically. The power is not there with him this year. So I like Rodon. He's at a great price at 81. And you look at the Tigers as a team, 26% strike rate. That's 4th in baseball. So, good call. One of my favorite pitchers on the board.
Yeah, and look, between Stroman at 7.6 and him over in 8 and change, you could really do a very nice stay under 16 combined with 2 pitchers on draft.
And on the other side,
we like to stick around when we're
absolutely. And we always like to look at the matchup on the other side with Norris. Like, how deep is he going to be able to go into this ballgame? He's always struggled with injuries and walks. He's got 4 outings this year. His first start came against the White Sox. He went 5 innings. I can't imagine him going much more than that. So I think, for pitching matchup, the duel, I mean, you got to give the advantage to Rodon.
All right, another great pitcher on the slate, Collin McHugh, 8.3, who's had a terrific start to the year, taking on Corey Kluber, who has not had a good start. Kluber's price has come all the way down to the 8.9 range. and deservedly so. However, you are looking at a lineup here that's trending upward with Francisco Lindor back and leading off. He's 4.5 on the DraftKings side. You're going to get, as Chris said, always more of a discount on these guys returning on the FanDuel side. But honestly, I still lean very heavily McHugh. This normally would be a toss-up game for me, and I tend to run away from those, but I don't feel that way in this one at all. I feel very strongly about Houston at home, very strongly about McHugh, and I think Cleveland still one of these teams trying to put it together. So I'm actually going to be in the Jose Altuve business tonight. I'm going to be in the Collin McHugh business tonight because I think those are the guys that are going to move the needle in this game, and I still think that Cleveland is a work in progress at best.
Yeah, they're starting to improve. I know LineStar really likes Jose Ramirez as a value guy, and they feel strong about him projection-wise. I got to agree with that. I mean, especially over on the FanDuel side. But yeah, if I had to choose, and what I've seen so far this season, I mean, it's Collin McHugh has been the better pitcher, and Kluber has been lit up. So I mean, if the Houston bats are strong, when you were gone, I was like, I'm a broken record here with Brantley and Correa. They just continue to be undervalued.
Before we came on today, Correa was the first guy I popped in the lineup. I was like, look at him. I mean, this is a great situation here with the price and return on investment.
And starting to hit the ball well. Brantley's been good all year, but they're both under 4K. Altuve's under 4K today. They've lowered the price on some of these guys because they're going up against Corey Kluber. But Kluber he's walking guys.
That's what I understand. They're lowering the price against Kluber, who doesn't deserve it. Yet Kluber's price is being lowered. So why?
Exactly.
It's a weird thing. Like I don't understand it. But there is this section on the DraftKings side, especially where you're looking at Morton, Ryu, Rodon, and McHugh, and even Bumgarner as we get to him from like the 87 onto the 81 range, where if you're playing multi-entry tournaments tonight, you can mix and match these guys and pick and choose and have different combinations of them. This is one of those nights where I say multi-entry, if you are that kind of player, is a really good thing tonight, because I think there's a lot of advantage there, because these pitchers in that 8K range are very strong matchup-wise, very strong current run-wise, and just return on investment. There's a lot to like here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, Kluber got lit up by the Royals. He got lit up by the White Sox.
You get lit up by the Royals. You don't deserve any respect against Houston.
No, he's given up 30 hits in 26 innings, 20 runs. He's walked 12 guys. He's not the same. Sure, he's probably going to figure it out. But until then, take the discount on what we know is a really good offense.
And if he figures it out tonight, great, terrific. Sure. But you know what? And I'm not putting money in to find out. No. If you want to put money in it to find out against the Royals and you got burned, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fair. And you get burned, you go, well, it was worth a shot because it was an opportunity. This is not the opportunity to do it. And I don't care if he hits it. It's not the place to put your money. Tyler Skaggs taking on Danny Duffy. The two lefties will match up here. Kansas City against Los Angeles is going to be in Kansas City in this one. Look, at least the weather's decent. That's about as much as I can say about this game.
That's the only positive you could say. I think both guys coming off for the IL. Danny Duffy making his first start. I don't expect him to go deep. We've been talking about the Angels' struggles against lefties, and again, they check in with another high team-implied total. When you were gone, they went up against Marco Gonzalez, and their team-implied total was 5, and they had 1 run through 8. Like I just don't understand this still. Nonetheless, you're going to get value on Simmons, and that's about it, man. I'm just staying clear all this game. Like, I like Hunter Dozier, but he's been out of the lineup for the past couple games due to a back injury. And Whit Merrifield should have his way. Mondesi's been good, but this is a game I'm not excited about. There's just gonna be no one I'm gonna be playing, I don't think, from here.
All right, the Reds are traveling to St. Louis. Miles Mikolas and Anthony DeSclafani match up in this one. I'm gonna be on the Reds tonight in this one. I like Puig's price at 3.9. Suarez the same price as well. I still like these guys. These guys are too good of hitters not to, and they always carry that possibility of the big night. And I love that about those kind of guys. And if they're under 4K, even by $100, that raises an eyebrow for me, and that means opportunity in this one too. And even Joey Votto at the top of this lineup. You can even skip Winker if you wanted to and go 1, 2, 4. You could go 2, 3, 4 all the way through if you like other first basemen on this one. But Mikolas is another guy, Chris. Last year had a tough April and then was kind of dazzling throughout. But really this year has not been the guy I think that they were expecting in St. Louis so far in the early going.
He's a contact pitcher. He pitches a contact, relies on his defense. So anytime that happens, I agree with you. I've been on the Reds now waiting for them to turn it around, and this may be the game because
there's been spurts.
Yeah, there has been, because Mikolas doesn't miss a lot of bats. So here we are, guys that have struggled, they're going to be able to make some contact against him. 85% contact rate this year. Last year was 81%. So he's not missing any bats. He's actually been giving up some home runs, something he didn't do at all last year, only 16. So far, 5. He doesn't strike anybody out. 15 strikeouts in 29 innings. Last year, 146 in 200. Yeah, Suarez, Puig, absolutely. Votto atop the lineup, you're all getting them at a great price.
Yeah, and look, the next one, too, is also about matchup, and Robbie Ray against Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks just 7.5, coming off a good week there, strikeout-wise. And the Cubs are another one, too, where you see spurts, but you're waiting for him to wake up. I'm waiting for Chris Bryant to wake up, really. He had a good night a couple nights ago, but I want to see, double digits 4 days in a row kind of point totals. I want to see him starting to take walks. I want to see him start to do those things. I think Rizzo's in play, even though it's a lefty tonight. Robbie Ray in that building historically has not been good. So I'm going to troll him in that building, and I'm going to be fine with that. So the Cubs are going to be in play for me. And I'm curious for you, how do you see this one matching up? And is there anybody you want to get involved with?
I think there's going to be a lot of runs. Arizona is hot. They're coming in hot, too. I mean, they just went into Pittsburgh. I mean, the Pirates had the best team ERA in baseball, and they went in there and lit them up for 4 games. So I am interested in a couple, but I'm more so with you. I lean on your side with the Cubs. I'm not a huge fan of Robbie Ray. 45% hard hit rate last year, same thing. Year before that, 40%. Struggles with the walks. His fly ball rate is at a career high right now. So a great opportunity, I think, to jump on Bryant, Rizzo, Baez. Contreras has been making some contact. He's got the highest WOBA on that team right now. Rizzo, I was on Rizzo this week. I think it was Kenta Maeda. I like the matchup. Even if it's lefty-lefty, I still like it. You're getting a discount, so there's an opportunity for runs. Both of these games we just talked about, the Reds, the Cardinals, the Cubs, and Arizona, those are the 2 games that I'm going to be attacking from an offensive standpoint. I think there's going to be runs in these games.
Yeah, no, you and me both. That's all my sheet here. Those are the games I want. And the LineStar app agrees with us, too, because Puig is one of their highest-rated guys on DraftKings tonight in terms of return on investment. So that's another one to put in there. So is Jesse Winker also against Mikolas there. So keep those guys in mind. All right, let's go on here and press on. Seattle and Kikuchi are taking on the Texas Rangers and Shelby Miller. I know everyone's been waiting for Nomar Mazara to wake up, and it's going to get to a point where I'm going to want to start buying when he gets real low. Because I think he's just too good of a young hitter, but it's not going to be against Kikuchi tonight. It's not going to be against a left-hander. However, Edwin Encarnacion is one that fascinates me tonight because I'm looking for some pop, and in the mid-4 range, he's a really nice option tonight for looking for if you're looking for the home run in the tournament lineup. I think against Shelby Miller in Seattle, even I think that's a one where you could check that box for me. I think I'm all in on Encarnacion.
Yeah, it also a good call from Mazara. I think it's coming too. He had 2 home runs the other night, but you're right. He doesn't hit lefties all that well.
Right. He had the 2 home run night, and then people are like, okay, but it's like.
Yeah, keep that in mind. He doesn't hit
not tonight. Well. Not against the comeback then against the lefty. That's where I struggle with it.
Right.
I hope that it doesn't skyrocket him because of 2 home run performance, but we'll see.
We're going to get Rougned Odor back in the lineup, another lefty, though, so it might not be a good spot for him. But, I mean, Seattle just put up, 12, 14 runs last night. Shelby Miller, talk about hard hit rates. He's all over it. I mean, 50% this year, 58 last year. All the Seattle bats are expensive, but I love the Edwin call. Haniger atop the lineup is just really, really expensive on DraftKings 5-4. Vogelbach has got some pop in his bat. And Tim Beckham has been solid this year, too. Even Healy, they're going to score some runs. I'm not a big Kikuchi guy, but I just can't.
I'm not either.
I can't see. There's nobody really in this Texas lineup that excites me. Anders is expensive.
I just don't think the $1,000 discount is nice, but considering those guys in the 8 range, man, there's too many good guys there for me tonight to go down all the way to that level.
Agreed.
It's just I don't know because those Texas. I mean, you could have one of those nights where Andrus and Mazara have could surprise you there.
Definitely.
But I don't know. It's not what I'm feeling personally tonight, and the numbers aren't super exciting either. Here's one where, upset wise, they've got Polanco. Well, I don't know. Coming up on Pittsburgh here with Archer against Ryu, I think, automatically everybody goes right to Ryu, but I don't know about this. I mean, Josh Bell's had a really good season. That's not a guy I typically like. Melky's moved himself all the way up to the 2-hole. They brought up the shortstop and Cole Tucker, and Gregory Polanco being back is huge. Now, I don't know if I love the matchup if he's in tonight against Ryu, but I think this is one of those nights where if I'm looking for the upset, the sneaky stack of the night, whatever it is that we do here, I think the Pirates might be it. I really do because they're super cheap. And if you're trying to look for that pairing, if you just want to play cash games and you want to go up to the Scherzer and just feel confident about that, I think a team like the Pirates are one you could do it against. I'm not taking a shot at Ryu. It's more just, I don't know. I feel like Pittsburgh's actually been playing better than people give him credit for.
Yeah, their offense is getting better. You're right. You get Polanco, you call up Tucker. If he leads off, Melky is a good bat. You mentioned Josh Bell. Cervelli is he's gonna eventually turn around. He's a good on base guy. Kang has got some pop. Even Brian Reynolds is he's up. He had some success in the minors as well. So I could see that. I'm really heavy on the Dodgers. Not from maybe a hitting standpoint, from a betting standpoint. I like them. I think Ryu is going to be able to have some success. When you look at the Pirates overall, like dead last WOBA against lefties, they're striking out. They're not hitting home runs. Part of that is because of some of the injuries that they've had. Like Polanco gets
that's
back
the whole
and
thing.
helps
When
them.
you lose the best
ballpark
bat
they
in
play
your lineup, right? And then Marte not in the lineup. It's kind of it's tricky. But Polanco, I think, is one of these guys I feel like is on the precipice of becoming a thing.
I think I like him a lot.
A couple of years ago, he was lined up to be that kind of guy, and it didn't happen right away. And I think this injury kind of checked him a little bit because I saw him in camp, and I just was blown away by by the shape he was in, but more importantly, for the first time, he looked like the guy he was supposed to be in spring training when he was taking those at bats and he was hitting the ball hard. And the fact that he is so far ahead of schedule, we were looking at him in June. It's not even May, and he's back. That's staggering. So
it is.
The fact that he's moved that timetable up, to me, I think this is a guy that's getting serious and a guy that knows arbitration and free agency are on the horizon. And I love those kind of guys, Greg.
Yeah, me too. Listen, I'm in on the Pirates too. I agree. I think they're underrated. And I think
it's an upset pick tonight.
Yeah,
that's my personal upset because Ryu wasn't 100% either coming into this game.
It's true. They are striking out the most against lefties, and they have dead last WOBA. But I think there's an opportunity, in these next couple of days, maybe to jump on them.
Yeah, he had that groin strain. I mean, this is, I don't think you're going to get top-notch Ryu tonight. And I think that just means it's opportunity. Like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. I'm putting it out there. Mm-hmm. We'll see. I'll hold myself accountable as I always do.
We usually agree. So yeah,
we usually agree.
All right. We can be different.
And we also like to pat ourselves in the back. We've done a lot of that so far in April. So
someone will pat ourselves in the back for one of us. We'll do.
One of us bad there. So let's go to the last game too. You got Paxton against Bumgarner. 9.6 on the DK side for Paxton. 8.7 for Bumgarner. Again, this Yankee lineup, the bottom of this Yankee lineup, they just acquired Cameron Maben.
They've lost two more guys since you were gone.
I know. It's
just like Frazier hit the IL, and
I did a meme or a GIF, I should say, of the tumbleweed rolling through, and I said the Yankees' current roster.
I can't get over it. Like it's unreal. It's nuts. I just watched the series against the Angels, and the entire Angels broadcast is just like every day. I forget who it was yesterday fouled a ball off their foot, and they were just like, "Oh no, here we go again." Like,
here's the Yankee lineup on Friday, the 26th of April. You ready, kids?
Oh yeah, let's
DJ LeMahieu, Luke Voigt, Brett Gardner, Gary Sanchez, Gleyber Torres, Giovanni Urshela, Cameron Maben, Austin Romine, and Mike Trackman. I mean, come on.
Maben gets in there right away.
Yeah,
if you can't crack the lineup in Cleveland for that outfield, you're hard up. And the Yankees they needed him. They needed him to get in there. Like it's rough. This is the lowest total I think I see.
I saw they signed Logan Morrison when I was gone too, and
I must have just missed that. Yeah, 6.5 total. This over under for this game tonight.
It's like a minor league contract or something for Logan Morrison. But look. Let's get to the pitching match. So both these offenses are not anything to write home about. The LineStar app tonight loves Paxton on DraftKings in terms of return on investment. So if you're looking for a cash game fade from Scherzer, I can definitely understand the Paxton love there. But for me, this is another one of these games where I'm looking at 2-1. I'm looking at a no decision here. Like I'm not super excited about this one at all.
No.
If I'm going to pick a side, I'm actually going to pick the Bumgarner side because he's at home. So personally, if I'm going to fade Scherzer in cash game tonight, Bumgarner is my favorite one. Other than that, I'm going to stick and roll with those AK guys that we talked about. That's the theme of the day.
Yeah, I would agree. You said it perfectly. Absolutely. I mean, I keep throwing out Gleyber Torres as a value play, but he's not doing anything. He's only hitting 245.
Just because he's in there in the middle of the lineup, it's not a good matchup either.
Right. It's not at all a good matchup.
No good. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Yankees will leave with Bumgarner after this game is over. After this series,
yeah, no kidding, man. I mean, Bumgarner may be the best bat in this game.
Look, Becky, we play in the outfield the other days when you don't pitch. You can really use some help in the offense. All right, let's call our shot. I'm gonna go with Vlad Guerrero Jr. in the home first game, his debut. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to be a huge thing. That's where I'm going. Who are you calling your shot with tonight?
It's such a good call. Vlad's gonna go deep, and Grichuk's gonna go deep as well. But I'm gonna go back to Eddie Rosario. I know he's extremely expensive, but he's been red hot, guys. That series really woke him up in Baltimore. And you know who's allowed the most home runs in baseball? The worst ERA. Part of the reason is guys like Alex Cobb. They're fly ball pitchers. I know it's in Minnesota, but Eddie Rosario, if you don't like to spend up, even a guy like in that lineup, Jonathan Scope, CJ Cron, boys are going yard tonight.
There you go. Absolutely there. And again, stay away from some of those games with the weather that we talked about too. It's not worth dabbling in. It's not an opportunity. We did talk about the Reds and the Cubs again, stacks that we like. The Pirates being one potentially on the cash game side, very sneaky. We might be able to put that in there because Ryu is not 100%. And then those $8,000 pitchers, the guys in that range on the DK side, the McHughes, even Bumgarner, you throw in that mix, Rodon. There's a lot of those guys tonight. I think you can plug in some lineups, do some interactive stuff, move guys interchangeably in and out, and do pretty well. So that'll do it for us. Make sure you download the LineStar app and make sure you're using the optimizer too when you're making up these lineups all Friday and the rest of the weekend and all season long. And you can follow us on Twitter at LineStar App, at Joe Pisapia 17, and at Chris Meaney. There's only one thing left to do, and that's move off the on-deck circle now. Step up to the plate and go yard. We'll see you next time, kids.
You've been listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.